Hi, today we're going to look at the topic of expanding single brackets. I'm writing next level here because I'm assuming that you've expanded single brackets before. You might not remember what that means, or you might, but it's basically meant to be a refresher of that and, bringing in like multiple single brackets as well. So my first question is, what does it mean to expand single brackets? So just pause the video and have a think. Like, can you write down a question that might get asked about expanding single brackets, or can you just, think about it? All right, well, here's an example of expanding single brackets. So we've got a bracket and then we've got something on the outside. And essentially we're multiplying everything inside the bracket by the thing outside the bracket. So is the answer to this one A, B, C, or D? Well, the answer is going to be B. Why? Because the quick way is to do 3x times 5x. So that's going to give 15x squared. But don't forget we then do 3x times minus 2, which gives minus 6x. So 3x times 2 is 6x. So I hope you're happy with that. If not, here's just a very quick explanation of why that works, because sometimes, it's easy to forget and you just sort of learn a method. But essentially, I've got a rectangle here, and I could consider it having a height of 3x, and then a base of 5x minus 2, and I could write the length here as 5x and then this length as minus 2. And if I want to work out the total area of this rectangle, which I would then write like this, then I would have to work out this little bit here, which is just 3x times 5x, that's 15x squared, that's what I did before. And then I work out this little bit, 3x times minus 2, minus 6x. Forget the fact that I've got like negative areas and so forth. You can apply this idea to plus 2, but it still does work for minus 2. And then you get the full answer. So it is good seeing this, but try and learn this method. When I first teach it to younger year groups, I tend to kind of call it the shark method because you kind of got the fin of a shark. But I'm going to add these when I expand the brackets. But basically, just make sure you multiply things inside the brackets by the thing outside. Let's try another one. What about this one? So I'm going to multiply it together like this. What do you get? Well, I'm going to get minus, actually, I think it helps to actually work it out. So it's going to be minus 12, because it's minus 4 times 3 is minus 12. X times x gives me x squared. Then I've got the y. Okay, so I can rule out b at this point, but let's keep going. Then it's going to be minus 4xy times 5y. So that's going to be minus 20, because minus 4 times 5, xy squared. So that's going to leave me with, is it this one or is it this one? We just have to be a bit careful. I had an x squared in the first term, so it's going to be D. Here's another one. What do I do when there's a negative in there? Often not like only really touched upon early on when you're expanding brackets, but really important. So we're looking at it here. Well, first of all, now there's 3 things inside the bracket, so we'd have to multiply through by this. And basically, you've got to imagine the minus being minus 1, and then we're just multiplying through by minus 1. So it's going to be minus 2x plus y minus 4, because I've done times by that, times by that, times by that. I've got 3 kind of, I've got a strange looking shark now. I've got a double negative with the minus and the minus y. That's why it's become plus y. Just basically, just be aware that we're just basically switching the signs around when you've got a minus. If it was minus 2, there'd be a bit more that you have to do. So looking through, I can see that it's going to be okay. It's going to be D. They've actually often when you have an expression like this, you try and write the positive terms first. So y, and then minus 2x and minus 4. They've written the minus 4 before. But anyway, that's the answer. Hopefully, you're feeling confident about this. Okay. Oh, what about this one? Whew. Single bracket here, single bracket here. Notice we need to expand the single bracket and then this single bracket and then kind of bring it together. I'll talk about this a bit more in a minute. All right, method one for dealing with this is as follows. Basically, just kind of expand it as normal. So I'm going to get 5p plus 15. And then when I get to here, it's going to be minus 2 times 1. So that's minus 2. And then minus 2 times minus 2p, which is going to give me plus 4p. Just need to bring that together. So I'm going to get 9p plus 13. Okay, and if I look at it, it's going to be C, but also it could be D. Like they're actually the same thing. Interesting question. It doesn't like normally. Yeah, I didn't really talk about this before either, but normally you kind of write your x or your p terms first and then the number, but actually it's not that important. Method two, I'm going to briefly talk about this. I really like method one, and I would always go with that. But if you don't, I just want to talk through this one as well. So method two is to basically expand them separately. So I'm going to get 5p plus 15 here, and then I'm going to expand to 1 minus 2p. I'm sort of forgetting the negative for the moment, and that's going to give me 2 minus 4p. And then if I want to subtract them, it's going to become 5p plus 15 minus 2 minus 4p. Thing is this really that advantageous? I now have to I've still got a bracket to get rid of. And notice you do need a bracket there because I'm minusing the whole thing. So it has to be inside a bracket. And then I would get 5p plus 15 minus 2 plus 4p. And I'd be back to where I was here, essentially. I did it much quicker over here. It's just like, you might prefer to take it a bit slower, but actually, I don't think it really helps because you've still got to deal with this negative. So I would go with this method. All right, we've done, essentially these are the examples. I was just getting you to practice them first. So I think it's quite a good thing rather than me just showing you, like have a go at them first. Hopefully you did that. Now I want you to practice a little bit more, and we're going to bring back in this one. Okay, so if you're not feeling too confident about this one at the moment, that's okay. Try these, which they just they're very similar sorts of questions, but they deal with negatives in different ways. And then we'll get on to dealing back with more than one single bracket. Okay, so pause the video, have a go at these. Right, going to show you the answers. Here we go. So it's got to deal with all these negatives. Did you manage to get 9 out of 9? In any case, as long as you tried your best, keep practicing and you will get better at expanding single brackets. All right, onwards. We're now going to look at single brackets when we've got more than one. Be aware, this is not the same as double brackets because I've got this little addition in there. That's really important. Now I'm trying to decide. I talked already about this and I showed two methods. Now honestly, I just think just doing it all in one go is the best thing. So actually, I'm just gonna go for it. So let's do this. We multiply through like this. It's gonna get 15x minus 6, and then I'm gonna get plus 2x and plus 2. Bring that together, 17x minus 4. By the way, my advice at this point, okay, especially if you're happy with this one, is to try the question, like pause the video, try the questions, and then just check with my answer, and then you can be really confident if you're already getting it right without seeing me go for it. Definitely try this next one yourselves. So we've got similar kind of setup, but now instead of just x's, I've also got some y's in there, but it's just deal with it the same kind of way. So I'm going to get 15x minus 5y plus 2y minus 12x. Bring the x's together, that's going to be 3x, then it's going to be minus 3y. I haven't really, we always try and simplify after we've expanded, just to say. Okay, good. Right, now with the negatives, can we deal with this? Okay, I've seen one example already. Right, let's go for it. We're going to get 8m minus 6p, and then it's going to be minus 6m. I'm doing it all in one go. I just think that is the best way. Just be careful. This is a double negative, so it becomes plus 12p. If you want to think about it a bit more, you know, we're minusing something, but then the thing that you're minusing, like you've got the 2m, you know, you've got this minus 6m that you're minusing, but with the 2m, you're then minusing something from that, so you're going to make it smaller. Whatever you're minusing, you're going to be minusing something smaller because you are subtracting this thing here, and that, in a sense, means you're adding something back on. So I'm trying to explain like why does it become a plus, as well as just the normal rule of a negative times a negative gives a positive. This is going to give us 2m, and then that was a plus 12, so it's going to be plus 6p. Whew. Yeah. All right, try this one yourselves. I always add these little, you know, if I'm doing, okay, like the more confident you get, you don't always have to add these little things. I think it helps until you're like so confident you never make mistakes. I would add the little kind of lines just to remind you to multiply them both, etc. So 20a minus 15 minus 6a, and then minus 12. I am going to then, because I've got two things added together and then I'm minusing it, it makes sense that I'm going to basically minus each one individually. And that's going to give me 14a, because 20a minus 6a is 14a, and then minus 15 minus 12 is actually minus 27. I'm at minus 15 on the number line, and I'm minusing 12, so I'm going to go this way until I get to minus 27. And that is it, really. Like I've gone through that quite quickly, but I'm hoping you're okay. You know, you could extend this to having 3 single brackets and so on. The method still works. You can have x, y, z's and so on. Just be careful with it. Make sure you simplify. The main thing I suppose is, you know, especially when there's a negative, just be really careful. Right, some more practice. Here you go. Even thrown in a few fractions right at the end if you're feeling confident, but focus on the first part, I'd say, to start with. Hopefully you're going to pause the video and then you can check your answers. I'll show them in about 3 seconds. Here goes. I think all of these are correct. Apologies if there are any mistakes. Sometimes that happens. But here we go. Check them. Did you make a mistake? Try and figure out why. Don't just leave it because it will come back to you. It might be like a misconception that you have. To finish, about a few extension questions. So, can you calculate the area of this shape below? That it's a compound area question, and it's all in terms of algebra. Give it a go. Well, here's the solution. So, you could either split the shape vertically, which is what they're doing on the left-hand side, which creates this double bracket. You just have to realize that this length is 2x. Okay, that's where these two terms have come from. And then it's another expanding bracket, and simplifying, we get an x squared in there. Or you could do it horizontally, like so, and then you'd have to figure out that this length here is 5, and you get a different bracket to expand, but you got to get the same answer at the end of the day. So nicely done. You can split it either way. Okay, can you spot any mistakes in this question? Well, it's looking pretty good, but you can hopefully see the error is here. It's this minus 10 because I've got a double negative. Oh, that's the next question, but yeah, I've got minus 2 times w. That's all good, but then it should be plus 10, and then it should be plus 28. So you just have to basically spot the error here. Just to finish, let's just like kind of recap what we've been doing with some diagnostic questions. So what do you think the answer is here? I'm going to get 10 minus 5x. Like I have to, I can't just look at this and figure it out. I have to kind of, try and do it. Plus x, yes, I got the minus 4, then it becomes plus x. So it's going to be 6 minus 4x. And we've got d. And throwing in a few more with x squareds in. X cubed plus 5x plus 3x minus 3. So that's going to become d. 7x minus 3y plus x minus 2y. I'm going to get 8x minus 5y, b. And last one, 5x squared minus 2xy minus 4x squared plus 6xy. So that's going to leave me with x squared when I combine these two plus 4xy. A. Okay, well done on this expanding brackets lesson. I'm hoping that all is good. Brilliant effort.